The Chicago skyline was a blanket of glittering diamonds beneath us, but I couldn't keep my eyes off Olivia. She looked breathtaking in that deep red dress, the candlelight hitting her high cheekbones just right. This was it. 3 years of marriage, and tonight was my statement that she deserved the absolute best. I had scraped together every penny in my personal savings, ignoring the rent warning, just to get this corner table at Lumiere. "Everything looks perfect, Liam," Olivia said, her voice soft, but her smile didn't quite reach those expressive eyes I adored. She adjusted the napkin in her lap, tapping her fingers against the white linen. "Not perfect, maybe," I teased gently, reaching across the table to cover her hand with mine. "But we're working on it. I'm just glad we have tonight to breathe. Things have been crazy at the studio." I'm crazy," she agreed, sliding her hand away under the pretense of picking up her champagne flute. "I know. It's a lot for you, honey. Not just me. You're climbing at your firm, too. We're building our life brick by brick. A small, ordinary life, but it's ours." Olivia didn't answer. She took a sip of champagne, her attention already drifting back to her phone resting face down beside her bread plate. The screen lit up. Asterisk flash asterisk. Another text message. The notification didn't show the content, just the sender initials. TK. TK again? I try to keep my tone casual, but my stomach clenched. "Is that your new team lead? They're really working you late, even tonight." She picked up the phone swiftly, tapping a short reply with her thumb. "Oh, Tyler King? Yeah, we're in the middle of a massive creative pitch for a tech client. It's high-stakes stuff, Liam. The whole operation strategy is depending on my creative direction. He needs answers immediately. It's our 3rd anniversary, Liv. Can't Tyler King wait 2 hours? You deserve to be present." Olivia set her phone back down, this time face up, right next to her glass. "The world of creative marketing doesn't pause for anniversaries, Liam. He trusts me with this integration, and I need to deliver. You wouldn't understand. You just handle logos for the local brewery." The casual dismissal stung, but I pushed the insult aside. I couldn't let it ruin this moment. Not now. I reached into my jacket pocket, my fingers brushing against the soft, cool silver of the bracelet I had handcrafted. I wanted to tell her, this bracelet isn't just silver. It's a representation of the future Vance global legacy we rejected. You know, Liv, things are actually about to change for us. The studio is. But she wasn't listening. The phone flashed again. TK. She didn't just reply this time. She read the message and actually let out a short, contained laugh. "Something funny?" I asked, my voice tight. Olivia looked up, startled, as if she had forgotten I was sitting there. She quickly locked her screen and set the champagne glass down with a precise, cold clink. The smile she gave me this time was a mask, sharp and calculating. "Liam, actually, I'm glad you mentioned things changing. Because they are." She reached beneath the table for the slim, leather briefcase she had carried in, pulling out a thick, manila envelope. I recognized the texture instantly. It wasn't a creative pitch. She slid the envelope across the candlelit white linen. "What's this?" I asked, my heart hammering against my ribs. "Our integration," Olivia stated, her voice shockingly devoid of emotion. It was the same tone she used to review quarterly brand metrics. "Open it." My hands shook. I tore the flap. Inside were 2 distinct documents. The first, I saw the caption immediately. Petition for dissolution of marriage. Divorce. My vision blurred. "Liv, what is this? This has to be a joke." "It's not a joke, Liam. I'm serving you. It's effective immediately. Attorney Davis is handling the logistics. You'll find his card attached to the petition." 3 years. I gasped, the air thin. Tonight was perfect. We were happy. "Liv, what did I do? Just tell me. What did I not do?" "It's not what you did, Liam. It's what you didn't do." I look at you, content in your little studio, celebrating with a rooftop dinner you spent your entire personal savings on. And I can't anymore. I want a big life. A high-stakes life. Tyler King can give me that. I'm moving into high-stakes creative marketing at King Capital as their lead, and I need to target my personal and professional assets toward that goal. You're dumping me for a billionaire? I'm choosing me, Liam. Read the second document. I looked at the package she served. It wasn't part of the divorce papers. It was a formal cease and desist and regulatory compliance order from King Capital. A cease and desist? Regarding the creative overlap, Olivia explained, already gathering her bag. My integration with King Capital starts immediately. I cannot have any creative conflicts of interest with your little logo studio, even in a small, local demographic. We must separate all shared professional assets. You will no longer use the Vance creative name, as it presents a potential trademark dilution for my new agency's target audience. Davis will handle the rest. She stood up, ignoring the handcrafted bracelet I was still gripping under the table. I can't continue this small, ordinary life with you, Liam. I'm meant for something high stakes. Small life, I whispered, looking at the city I actually owned. You have no idea. Olivia didn't hear me. She was already tapping a text. *TK. Integration complete. Moving into new creative role. Target acquired. She didn't look back as she walked out. I just sat there, surrounded by the finest rooftop view, holding the papers that targeted my life. The sound of zippers echoing through our quiet apartment was louder than gunfire. Olivia was a blur of motion, throwing expensive clothes my graphic design salary had struggled to afford, into leather suitcases. I stood in the doorway of our bedroom, leaning against the frame because my legs felt like water. The manila envelope with the divorce papers was still gripped in my hand. You don't need to do this tonight, Olivia, I said, my voice sounding distant, like it belonged to someone else. It's 10 p.m. Can't we just talk? She didn't stop packing. She didn't even look at me. There's nothing left to talk about, Liam. I made my peace with this months ago. I'm just finally executing the plan. The plan? I repeated, a hollow laugh bubbling up. Our third anniversary was part of a plan to divorce me? She stopped then, holding a designer blouse I'd bought her for her birthday. She sighed, a sharp, impatient sound. Look, I know this hurts, but we were never going to work long-term. You're comfortable, Liam. You're fine with your quiet little design job and this quiet little apartment. But I need more. I want to build something. King Capital gives me that chance. You couldn't build something with me? I asked, stepping into the room. Olivia finally met my eyes. They were cold. No trace of the woman I had married 3 years ago. With what? Your portfolio of artisan coffee shop logos? I'm moving into high-stakes creative marketing. The VP of Operations personally recruited me. This is the big league. The VP, Tyler King, I muttered, remembering the cease-and-desist letter included with the divorce papers. She shrugged, zipping the last bag. The firm recognized my value. It's what I deserve. Now, if you'll excuse me, my Uber is waiting. I'll send Attorney Davis's office details for the remaining logistics. She wheeled the bags past me. She didn't look back. She didn't say goodbye. The door slammed, and the silence she left behind was heavy enough to crush me. The next morning, I was at my desk, staring blankly at a logo presentation for a local brewery. My coworker and friend, Sarah Chun, stopped by my cubicle with 2 coffees. You look like you've been run over by a truck, Sarah said, setting a coffee down. Did you stay up all night again? I looked up, trying to force my features into a neutral expression. Just a long anniversary dinner. Too much champagne. Sarah wasn't buying it. She sat in my guest chair, studying me. You didn't go to dinner, Liam. Your calendar reservation was at that rooftop place, and they texted me asking if we wanted to push your creative team meeting because you didn't check in. What happened? I sighed, rubbing my tired eyes. Olivia served me divorce papers, right there at the table, before the appetizer. Sarah's eyes widened. Divorce papers? At your anniversary? That bitch. And she's moving on. I continued, the cold reality settling in. She's the new creative marketing lead at King Capital. Some cease-and-desist overlap thing. She moved out last night. King Capital? Sarah frowned. They just landed that massive investment from the secret holding company everyone is buzzing about. They are about to go huge. How did she get that job? She doesn't have the background. She said the VP personally recruited her. I said, Tyler King. Sarah looked thoughtful. VP of Operations. That's interesting. He usually handles the high-level corporate creative integration, not direct hiring for lead roles unless... Unless what, Sarah? I pressed. Nothing, she said quickly, but her eyes were shifting. Look, Liam, don't let this destroy you. You are a brilliant designer. This quiet studio life you chose, it's about integrity, not lack of ambition. You wanted to succeed without. She stopped, checking herself. Without my father's billions, I finished for her. Yeah. I wanted this small life to be ours. I wanted to build something real. She just wanted the fastest elevator to the top. I went home early. The apartment was too big, too empty. I couldn't stand the sight of the master bedroom. So I wandered into the small den Olivia used as her home office. Most of her professional things were gone, but the desk drawers were cracked open. While clearing out her abandoned belongings, I found a leather-bound journal she had always kept locked. Today, the key was sitting right next to it on the desk. I opened it, expecting to find venting about my quiet ambition. I wasn't expecting the explicit details. Page after page described an affair with Tyler King that had started over 6 months ago. Tyler finally cleared the new operations role for me. One entry read, Asterisk, it was worth every secret hotel meeting. He says I'm his alpha asset. Once the divorce with Elle is finalized, we can take the public stage. The cease-and-desist will handle the creative conflict. Elle will never know I was the overlapped. Asterisk. I slammed the journal shut, the air leaving my lungs. Her ambition wasn't the problem. I could handle that. The problem was the manipulation. She didn't just leave me for a better life. She used me as a placeholder while she orchestrated her transition into Tyler King's life, using our shared financial resources to maintain her image until the new contract was signed. I looked around the room, the cheap IKEA desk I had built for her, the books I had bought, the small life we shared. It was all a facade. She viewed me as a prop. I reached into my pocket and pulled out my phone. A name stared back at me in my contacts, a name I had spent 5 years avoiding, a name that represented everything I ran from. Robert Vance. I sat in the cold den, my decision forming with an icy clarity that had nothing to do with art or design. The Liam who wanted a quiet, independent life had been betrayed. The Liam who was Robert Vance's son was about to take active, calculated revenge. I dialed the number. The city buzz was fading into a low hum as dusk settled over the park. I sat on a weathered bench, staring at my phone screen. The name Dad seemed to stare back at me, heavy with history I had spent years trying to ignore. My stomach twisted. I hadn't initiated a call to Robert Vance since the day I told him I wanted to make it on my own as a designer, rejecting the Vance global inheritance. But that Liam died at dinner last night. I pressed the call button. The ringing seemed exceptionally loud in the cooling air. Robert Vance. A voice finally clipped, cold and precise. It was the tone of a man whose time was measured in millions of dollars per minute. Dad, it's Liam, I said, my voice tighter than I wanted. There was a pause, a momentary glitch in his professional veneer. Liam, this is unexpected. Is everything all right with your little studio? The studio is fine, I replied, ignoring the casual dismissal. I'm not calling about that. I need to know if the offer is still open. I could almost hear him shifting focus. The creative director position at Vance Global Headquarters? You told me you needed to forge your own path, Liam, free from corporate creative interference. I was wrong. I stated, the simple words feeling like a massive internal shift. I'm ready to return to the family business. If you still want me, I can start Monday. What changed, Liam? His voice was quieter now, suspicious. You don't just undo 5 years of defiance overnight. Olivia served me divorce papers at dinner yesterday, I said, forcing the words out quickly before my resolve cracked. Serve you papers at dinner? Robert's voice dropped into a dangerous, low register. That woman, after everything you've sacrificed? After the lifestyle you provided her on your independent salary? She didn't serve them because of my independent salary, Dad. I explained, the bitterness seeping back. She served them because of the cease-and-desist letter included in the packet. She took a job at another firm. A competitor. She's moving up. I guess she didn't want me holding her back. A competitor? Oh, she's the new creative marketing lead at King Capital, I said, testing the name on my tongue. Starting immediately. Apparently, she didn't want any overlap while she targets their specific client demographic. Robert let out a sharp, incredulous laugh. It wasn't a happy sound. It was the sound of a man who just spotted a critical flaw in an opponent's defense. King Capital? Tyler King's outfit. Yes. You know him? I asked, though I already suspected the answer. My father knew everyone in Chicago's financial stratosphere. Know him? Robert snorted. Tyler King is an arrogant child playing with leverage. We've been tracking their portfolio for 6 months. King Capital is currently leveraged to the hilt, Liam. They are desperately trying to finalize a private equity merger just to stay liquid before the Q3 regulatory filings. Wait. I sat up straighter, the park around me fading from focus. A merger review? Who's the parent entity? We are, Liam, Robert replied, and I could practically hear his shark-like grin through the receiver. Or rather, Vance Global's obscure holding company, VG Acquisition Holdings, is the primary secured lender. We hold 90% of King Capital's callable debt. If we don't approve the merger, they fold by Friday. I see, I said, the implications crashing over me like a tidal wave. So, Olivia just joined a ship that's about to hit an iceberg of our design. I wouldn't say our design exactly, Robert clarified, his business mind taking over. But certainly, a ship whose navigation chart we own. When she took that job, she gave us incredible leverage. Did she mention Tyler King by name in the cease-and-desist? She mentioned him during the dinner argument. I confirmed. And I found a journal she left behind. It implies their connection predates the cease-and-desist by months. The job offer was his thank you gift. Conflict of interest, my father stated, his voice clipping again. Material misrepresentation during the merger's due diligence. They didn't declare this relationship and the subsequent appointment, which affects operational risk management. She just gave me a judicial sword. Tell me, Liam, what do you want? Do you want to try and fix your marriage? I looked down at my hands. They were clenched, knuckles white. The old Liam, the graphic designer who just wanted to draw and be loved, wanted to fix it. But the Liam Vance who was Robert Vance's son knew that wasn't an option. No, Dad, I said, the decision crystallizing in my mind with frightening speed. I don't want to fix it. I don't want her back. I want justice. I want her to understand the small life she left wasn't quite what she thought. I can do that, Liam, Robert assured me, and his voice was cold steel. The King Capital merger review was scheduled for next week with my junior acquisitions team. I'm canceling that. I will be personally overseeing the King Capital due diligence review on Monday morning. Mr. Tyler King and his new creative lead are about to meet the true controlling heir of King Capital. A profound sense of stillness settled over me. I wasn't a victim anymore. I wasn't a sad graphic designer whose wife left him for a richer man. I was Robert Vance's son, returning to the field with an army at my back. They don't know who you are to them, Dad, I said, a slow smile spreading across my face. No, they don't, Robert agreed. And neither does your ex-wife know who her husband was really. Let's keep it that way for the weekend. Enjoy the final act of their little play, Liam. Monday morning, we call the actors. I hung up the phone, the twilight now feeling full of possibility rather than despair. I wasn't ready to call Olivia back, but I was ready for Monday morning. He actually threw a stapler at an intern yesterday, Liam. A stapler. Sarah Chin set her mug down on my wobbly coffee table, her eyes wide with lingering shock. Tyler King has officially lost his mind. And Olivia just stood there, adjusting her new designer watch, and laughed. I stirred my sugarless coffee, the steam warming my face in the dim lighting of my small apartment. It was 6 weeks since the divorce papers. My life was stripped bare, but my soul felt cleaner. Did the intern report him to HR? I asked, though I already knew the answer. HR at King Capital existed to protect Tyler, not the staff. Of course not, Sarah spat. He threatened to blacklist the kid from the entire financial sector. Tyler thinks he's God now that the merger is moving forward. He keeps bragging about how Vance Global is going to make them both infinite. And Olivia, God, Liam, she treats us all like background noise. Background noise who paid for her training and portfolio, I muttered. My inner monologue was a daily battle. Part of me wanted to rage, to reveal my secret weapon now. But another, colder part knew Robert Vance was the silent shark circling their small, ego-filled pool. Tyler had Olivia pull all our design assets for the King Vance integration presentation. Sarah continued, pulling me from my thoughts. She demanded my team re-render everything because the blues didn't scream alpha status enough. It's infuriating. We're working 18-hour days for her glorification. I forced a smile. They seem truly charming, Sarah. I'm sure their path is paved with sunshine and infinite wealth. Sarah narrowed her eyes. You're being weirdly calm. Why aren't you angry? The woman stole your credit cards, ruined your anniversary, and is now dating her billionaire boss who is buying the company. I want to smash something for you. Anger burns up too much energy, I said simply. Vance Global didn't become a multi-billion-dollar entity by investing in sunshine and charismatic alpha status pitches. My dad buys distressed assets, not ego platforms. Wait. Sarah sat up straighter. Distressed assets? What are you saying? I'm saying I hope Tyler's perfect merger is as solid as they tell everyone it is. I said, my phone buzzing with a text from my father. Asterisk Robert. Board review tomorrow. The shark bites at 9. Asterisk. The weeks dragged on. The power shift at King Capital was visible even from the outside. Social media was flooded with images of Tyler and Olivia at galas, launching vanity projects, and generally treating the world as their stage. Sarah kept me updated on the internal toxicity, the terminated contracts, the broken deadlines, the junior staff fleeing in terror. They just fired Attorney Davis, too, Sarah texted one evening. Asterisk, he tried to warn Tyler about a regulatory issue with the integration asset pool. Tyler told him he was too risk-averse for the new regime. Asterisk, I had to laugh. Calling my father risk-averse was like calling the ocean a bit damp. The cracks in their operation were obvious to anyone who knew where to look. While Tyler and Olivia were distracted by champagne toasts and custom-tailored suits, the market had started to wobble. The tech stocks they had leveraged heavily were dropping. Tyler had an absolute breakdown in the boardroom this morning, Sarah said on our weekly call, her voice tight with stress. He screamed at everyone because the pre-merger valuation wasn't meeting their margin call targets. He blamed us for creative interference delaying the integration. And Olivia? I asked. My stomach twisted with residual worry, a habit that refused to die. She was managing the creative vision for the launch party, Liam. Seriously, the stocks are tanking. The company needs this merger cash now just to pay its operating expenses, and she's arguing about the shade of the tablecloths. The image formed perfectly. I knew my ex-wife better than anyone. She wasn't fighting the fire. She was designing the commemorative plaque for it. She believed her status with Tyler made her invincible, that Vance Global's vast resources were already hers. He desperately needs this bailout, doesn't he? I asked Sarah, my eyes fixed on the financial news playing silently on my television. They both do, she confirmed. The merger meeting with the Vance Global rep is on Tuesday at 9. Tyler is telling everyone that this is just a formality, a signing ceremony. He's already ordered a custom watch engraved with the new company name. I felt the first genuine chill of satisfaction roll over me. They were preparing for their coronation, blind to the fact that they were walking straight into a trap. Tyler and Olivia viewed people as props or obstacles. To them, the Vance Global representative was just a pen holder. Tuesday at 9, I repeated. Liam, seriously, why are you smiling like that? Sarah's voice crackled through the phone. This is going to make them untouchable. They are already untouchable, Sarah. I said, the words heavy with hidden meaning. And that's exactly the problem. I thought of the blueprint in my drawer, the future I was building away from them. Their consequences were about to catch up to them, delivered by the one person they were utterly desperate to impress. They thought Vance Global was their golden ticket. Tuesday morning, they would realize it was the end of the line. The gradual karma of their own arrogance was a beast they couldn't bribe or manipulate. It was just math, and the math, at 9 a.m. sharp, was going to settle every single account. This was it, the moment I had spent weeks preparing for, sitting on a leather chair that cost more than my last car, in a room where the walls were literally made of glass looking over the city I once thought I would never conquer. I smoothed the lapel of my custom gray suit, feeling the expensive fabric beneath my fingertips. Next to me sat my father, Robert Vance. He didn't look like a loving dad right now. He looked like a predator waiting in high-altitude terrain. He was reading through a leather-bound folder, his expression unreadable. I could see the reflection of the conference table in his glossy black reading glasses. "Are you ready for this, Liam?" Robert asked, not looking up from his papers. His voice was low, humming with the power he wielded so casually. "I've been ready since dinner," I said. My voice was steady. It surprised me. I thought I would be shaking, but I was cold. Impossibly cold. Robert nodded once, finally closing the folder. He took off his glasses. "Good. Never let emotions dictate a business deal, but never forget the emotion that drove you here. We don't just acquire companies. We protect what's ours. And you are mine." The massive oak doors opened. One of Robert's executive assistants led them in. Olivia and Tyler King. They were laughing as they entered, walking closely together. Olivia looked radiant. She was wearing a dress I knew I hadn't bought. Her hand was resting on Tyler's arm. Tyler looked like he owned the building. He was smiling, his head held high, looking around the Vance Global Conference Room with an calculating eye. "Mr. Vance, thank you so much for this opportunity." Tyler beamed, holding out his hand to Robert. "We are incredibly excited about this merger. King Capital is positioned for—" Tyler stopped. He finally looked past Robert to where I was sitting. Olivia's laughter died instantly. It was a physical reaction. Her hand slid off Tyler's arm, and her face went impossibly white. She clutched the edge of the conference table as if her knees had suddenly failed her. "Liam," Olivia whispered. Her eyes were huge, moving from my suit to my face to my father. "What are you doing here?" Tyler demanded, his face contorting from arrogance to confusion. He looked at Robert. "Mr. Vance, I apologize. I don't know how this graphic designer got into this high-level meeting. He has no connection to King Capital or Vance Global. I will have security remove him immediately." Tyler snapped his fingers at the assistant. I just sat there. I smiled, letting the silence stretch, letting the glass walls amplify their sudden panic. Robert slowly leaned back in his chair. He picked up his glasses again, looking at Tyler over them. "Remove him?" Robert asked, his voice deceptively soft. "Mr. King, you seem fundamentally confused about the power structure in this room." "Confused?" "Sir, I am the senior VP of King Capital," Tyler said, swelling his chest. "I'm here to finalize the merger that your company initiated." "I am Robert Vance," my father said, standing up. He placed a hand on my shoulder. "And this is my son, Liam Vance, the true controlling heir of the Vance Global portfolio, which, coincidentally, makes him your boss's boss, Mr. King. And yours, Olivia." The silence in the room became heavy, pressing. The air felt thick. Tyler's jaw literally dropped open. He staggered back, nearly knocking over a chair. Olivia looked at me, and I could see the exact moment she put it all together. The small, ordinary life she had divorced me to escape was actually a doorway into the very empire she was desperately trying to join. She saw the Vance Global logos everywhere, and then she saw me, her husband, the man she served papers to over a cheap dinner. "Your son?" Olivia gasped, a strangled sound escaping her throat. "Liam, why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you tell me who your father was?" "Because you didn't love me, Olivia," I said quietly, leaning forward across the glossy table. "You loved my salary when it got you designer bags. You loved my credit cards when they got you apartment upgrades. But you didn't love me. If I had told you my dad was a billionaire, you would have stayed for the wrong reasons. And eventually, you still would have left when someone bigger came along, just like you left me for Tyler." "No, Liam, that's not true," Olivia cried, taking a step toward me. She was desperate now. I could see the panic vibrating through her body. "I did love you. I was just confused. I got scared about our future. I thought we were stuck. Please, you have to understand." "You made yourself very clear at dinner, Olivia," I interrupted. The moral dilemma that had haunted me, active revenge versus silent moving on, evaporated in the heat of her absolute hypocrisy. This wasn't about forgiveness. This was about accountability. You wanted a big life. I hope you enjoyed your time at King Capital. It was very big while it lasted. Tyler, seemingly recovering from the initial shock, turned to my father. Robert, listen. Okay, fine. Your son. Surprise. But this is a business merger. King Capital is a profitable profit. Robert laughed, a harsh, cracking sound. Mr. King, your arrogance has blinded you. We didn't initiate a merger review because we needed your little firm. We initiated it to protect our silent investment. Vance Global is the secret debt holder for King Capital's main lines of credit. We own your debt, Tyler. You what? Tyler's voice failed him. He went from white to green. He looked at Olivia as if she had personally sabotaged him. Olivia, you said he was a graphic designer. You said he had nothing. You said he was nobody. He is nobody. Olivia shrieked at me, the facade finally cracking. Her remorse was gone, replaced by pure, ugly rage. He's a pathetic, weak little graphic designer who hides behind his rich father. You tricked me, Liam. You ruined everything because you were jealous. Tricked you? You divorced me, Olivia, I said calmly. I had nothing to do with that decision. You chose this path. You wanted Tyler, you wanted King Capital, and you wanted the big life he promised. I'm just here to settle the accounts. Robert raised a hand, cutting off Olivia's rising screeches. He looked at the executive assistant. Call our legal department. Tell them Vance Global is officially canceling the proposed merger with King Capital effective immediately, citing material misrepresentations during due diligence. And tell them to begin the immediate foreclosure proceedings on all King Capital credit lines held in our Vance Global debt portfolio. All debts are officially called. Now. Foreclosure? Tyler yelled, slamming his hand on the table. He was frantic. Vance Global cannot do this. If you call our debts, King Capital will be bankrupt in 48 hours. We will all be on the street. Hundreds of people will lose their jobs. Then I suggest you start brushing up your resume, Mr. King, Robert stated, sitting back down and steepling his fingers. Perhaps Liam needs a junior graphic designer to run errands for his new creative agency. Oh, wait. Never mind. Our creative agency is moving into new headquarters. My son will be its CEO. Security will see you both out. Tyler stood frozen, looking at Robert, then me, then Olivia. The rage in his eyes toward her was terrifying. Olivia spun toward me, the tears streaming down her face now, not of rage, but of pure, icy regret. She looked at the room, the glass walls, the custom suit I wore, the silent shark that was my father. She realized the true depth of her mistake. She had divorced the billionaire's son for a middle management banker whose life I had just ended with a signature. Leo, Olivia sobbed, dropping to her knees on the expensive carpet. It was a dramatic gesture, but I didn't feel anything. I only felt finished. She reached out toward me across the glossy table, her fingers not quite touching the wood. Liam, please. You know me. We were married. You can't let this happen. I lost my way. I got caught up in Tyler's lies. Please, just stop the foreclosure. Let's talk about us. I looked down at her. The woman I once loved, the woman I once would have given my life to save, was on her knees begging me. I had dreamed of this moment when I was clearing out her abandoned belongings. I thought it would be full of anger, full of triumphant shouting, but it was just quiet. The moral struggle I had carried, forgiveness versus revenge, finally found its answer. The karma wasn't the act of destruction. The karma was just letting her face the cold reality of the decision she made. Goodbye, Olivia, I said softly, standing up. I smoothed my jacket again, ready to move forward. You built this blueprint. Now you have to live in the house. I turned to my father. I'm done here, Dad. We have a creative meeting in 10 minutes. Robert nodded, a proud smile finally cracking his stern face. I didn't look back as the security guards entered to escort my past out of the room. The collapse of King Capital was swift. It only took 48 hours after we called in the debt for the house of cards to tumble down. The news was everywhere: bankruptcy, federal investigations into Tyler King for embezzlement, and mass layoffs. Tyler wasn't just broke. He was potentially facing jail time. My life, however, was moving on. I spent the last week in my old graphic design studio, just a few blocks from the glittering Vance Global Tower, packing up the remaining personal items. Are you still coming to the gala tonight, Liam? Sarah Chin popped her head around the corner of my cubicle, holding 2 coffee cups. I don't know, Sarah, I admitted, taking the offered coffee. It still feels strange being there. I went back for the legal proceedings, but the gala is social. It's your return, technically, she said, leaning against the gray fabric wall of my cubicle. Robert made it very clear that Vance Global intends to invest heavily in the tech sector, and you are the natural lead for their creative direction. At least show up for a free glass of champagne. I looked around at my humble surroundings. I don't hate this, Sarah. I never did. I just hated how Olivia made me feel about it. Like I was less for wanting to design logos instead of leveraging funds. Sarah sighed, soft and knowing. She used your ambition like a weapon, Liam. Ambition is good. Greed, not so much. She lost. Later that afternoon, after my conversation with Sarah, I walked out of the Vance Global Tower, where I had been meeting with my father's lawyers to finalize my creative agency's initial funding structure. I was no longer afraid of his support. It was equity now, not just family charity. As I stepped onto the plaza, I stopped. Olivia was leaning against the concrete planter near the entrance, a shadow of the woman who had demanded a big life just 6 months ago. She was wearing an old blouse of hers, faded. It wasn't designer. She had nothing. Olivia. She looked up. Her eyes were rimmed with red, and her hair was a messy attempt at the high-maintenance style I had once paid for. Liam. I hesitated, the residual melancholia washing over me. This woman was my wife, my life, my heart. Seeing her now, stripped of all the pretenses she sacrificed me for, was not triumphant. It was just sad. Are you okay? I asked, though I already knew the answer. She laughed, a harsh, brittle sound. Do I look okay? I lost everything, Liam. King Capital is gone. Tyler has been indicted. My name is linked to a financial disaster. I'm broke. My attorney dropped me. I am entirely alone. I know, I said quietly, the simple words feeling inadequate. I'm sorry, Olivia. She took a step closer, her hand reaching out but not quite touching me. Do you mean that? I was stupid, Liam. I was lost. I got caught up in the thrill, the status, the money. I thought that's what happiness looked like. I studied her. The remorse in her eyes seemed real, born of a genuine desperation I wouldn't wish on anyone. Happiness looks like what we were building, Olivia. It wasn't fast, it wasn't flashy, but it was real. You couldn't wait. I know, she cried, her voice cracking. I see that now, sitting in that empty apartment, with collectors calling and Tyler's lawyers turning on me. I see everything I threw away. Liam, please. I don't ask for much. Just talk to me. Can we get dinner? Just us? I need to remember what good feels like. I knew what she was doing. She was a master of the emotional pull. She was trying to regress to the Liam Vance who would fix everything, who would absorb her mistakes and absorb the world for her. But that Liam Vance was gone, burned away by the papers she served over the anniversary dinner. I took a deep breath, reaching into my jacket pocket and pulling out the envelope I had asked the legal team to prepare just in case something like this happened. I had anticipated a legal battle, but the collapse was too total for that. This was different. I can't go to dinner with you, Olivia, I said firmly, but without any malice in my tone. You won't even forgive me? After everything? I am on my knees, Liam. I'm not holding on to anger anymore, I said, a profound sense of closure washing over me. The desire for active revenge was replaced by the simplicity of finality. I hope you find your way. But our path together ended. I held out the envelope. What is this? She asked, her hand trembling as she took it. A check, I said. It's not Vance Global money. It's my money. I went through the house and cataloged everything you left behind. The jewelry I bought you, the clothes you didn't want, the car that was in my name. I sold it all. It's the final accounting. You're paid out. It's enough to help you get an apartment and a fresh start. But you have to build this one honestly. She stared at the envelope, the reality sinking in. You're paying me to go away. I'm giving you what you are owed, I said, stepping past her. Goodbye, Olivia. Build a better life. Later that evening, I met Sarah in my new office, the space still smelling of paint. She walked in carrying rolled-up blue paper, my father beaming proudly behind her. Robert insisted on delivering these himself, Sarah said, unrolling the blueprint onto the large drafting desk. Your new blueprint for Blueprint Design Associates. I looked down at the architect's lines defining the space. The studios, the reception, the meeting rooms. It was my blueprint, my merit and my father's pride. It looks beautiful, Liam, Robert said, his stern features softening as he clasped my shoulder. A solid foundation. Sarah grinned at me over the table. You ready for this? I'm ready, Sarah. I smiled, looking past the blueprint to the view of the city. For the first time, I wasn't just surviving. I was starting to truly live,